Yeah, I think it's available on YouTube, Pankaj, the first session recording actually. Not sure. We'll check with the institute. Since these are demos, all these demos are being uploaded on YouTube. And once the students are registered, the recordings will be available on their Google Drive. Directly, the institute is going to share the recordings to all your respective email accounts.
All lectures available, sir, after joining the course.
The first few demos are available. So the last demo which we took on Sunday, that is available on YouTube. Once once you become a registered student, they won't be available on YouTube anymore. They'll be available in your Google Drive account. All the recordings. Yes.
All the recordings on your portal, sir.
Yeah, all the recordings.
Okay. Sir, I have some further questions, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, after joining your class, will I get a job?
That's the main objective, right, Pankaj? So this course, Certified Ethical Hacking, is going to train you on the same roles and responsibilities of a penetration tester. So once this course is done, you can start applying for pen tester or ethical hacker or even SOC analyst job roles. Again, DurgaSoft does not provide any consultancy services, but again, it's all word of mouth. So whatever network I have, we have a community of all cybersecurity professionals from all the previously again enrolled students who have already gotten jobs. If we get requirements from them, we keep posting that to the students. So there's no consultancy of a service. But again, whatever requirements I get, I post that to all the students in the group. So we'll be creating a
Sir,
WhatsApp group
what
for
about
this.
the CS,
Yeah.
CS
What about the
certification?
Yeah,
CS
again,
certification.
you can write the certification. So this course is going to equip you with all the knowledge required to pass the certification exam. But again, it's quite a costly certificate. It's around $500 or so. So once this course is done, if you're planning on writing the certificate, do let me know. Because again, I do keep getting some discount coupons for that certification. So that could reduce the price a bit. Okay. So definitely you can attempt the exam once this course is done. Yes, Imran. This course is going to give you all the complete roadmap, all the tools, all the techniques that we learn as a penetration tester, which is also sufficient to write the CH certification exam. Okay. So yeah, let's get started, guys, without any further ado. So you have a better idea about the scopes and what we'll be learning throughout. Before we do so, a quick formal introduction on mine. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'll be your cybersecurity trainer for this entire duration of the course. I have a total experience of more than 6+ years in this domain, currently working as a senior penetration tester, and I've been training students from the last 5 years or so. Okay, so again, I actually started my career as a lab instructor at one of the institutes in Hyderabad itself, then shifted to a company as a penetration tester, and I've simultaneously trained students as well all over the years. So again, when we talk about this course, Certified Ethical Hacking, this is from an organization called EC Council, based in US, globally known for trainings and certifications in the domain of cybersecurity specifically. Okay, and the first course that students take up to enter this domain is called Certified Ethical Hacking. The latest version running of this course is the version 13, okay, which was released again this year itself. And as mentioned, we'll be following the same exact curriculum, the same exact tools, the same exact techniques, which are shown from the EC Council's portal. Okay, so before we start the demo, let's try clarifying what these terms are. What is hacking? What is ethical hacking? Because a lot of students have a misconception that they're one and the same. So let's clarify that. So when you talk about hacking, excuse me, this is basically the procedure to perform gaining access to information systems. And what I mean by that phrase, gaining access to information systems, is if I were a hacker, I would hack your phone or your computer or your web server or your database. And all of this is done to basically get access to all the data on your devices. And this is done without the permission and without the knowledge of the person or the organization owning those systems. And once I've gotten access to those devices, I can steal your data, I can destroy your data, or I can sell your data to other third-party organizations on the internet or on the black market. Okay. And on the dark web. Okay. And sometimes hackers can be so mischievous, they can even do it just for fun. Okay. So to read out the definition again, hacking is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems without the permission and without the knowledge of the organization owning those systems. Okay. And when I say systems, it could be anything as small as a mobile phone to as big as a database or the entire cloud environment itself. And this is usually performed by hackers for their own benefit. Okay, they can steal the information, destroy the information, sell that information, or sometimes just do it for the thrill of it. Okay. Now, if hacking seems to be such a malicious activity, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? And how is this getting ethical in the first place? So, to define ethical hacking, on the other hand, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. So, this terminology called vulnerability is something that will keep coming across multiple times in the upcoming sessions. To define a vulnerability, it's a loophole, it's a flaw in the security or in the logic of the application in the information systems. So, your job as ethical hackers is to find these loopholes in the information systems with the permission and with the knowledge of the organization owning those systems. And once you find these vulnerabilities, it's your responsibility to report it back to the company. And once it's reported back, once it's verified, and once it's remediated, there's no other pathways for hackers to cause any further harm. So you're trying to find the vulnerabilities before the hackers do, you're trying to remediate them and close up all the loopholes and all the pathways which could lead to exploitation. That's what ethical hacking is. Okay. So, but again, all of this is done with the consent and with the permission and with the knowledge of the organization. Depending on these two definitions, now we can categorize the types of hackers as well. So there's three broad categories: someone known as a white hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, and a black hat hacker. Your black hat hackers are typical cyber criminals, also commonly known again as again hackers, just plain hackers itself. Okay, and their only agenda is to perform hacking for their own benefit or for fun. On the other end of the spectrum, or on the other extreme, you have white hat hackers, people who abide by the laws and policies of the company, and they work for securing the company's infrastructure. Okay, from the cyber criminals. And in between, there's a third mysterious category called grey hat hackers, people who have both the qualities of black hat as well as white hat. So, like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission first, but once they do find a vulnerability, they report it back to the company. But there's a minor catch here: they don't do this for free. They do it in return for a bounty. A bounty is like a financial reward they're expecting in return to report that vulnerability. So, therefore, they are working both offensively and defensively at various times, hence known as grey hat hackers. They also have a very commonly name given called as bug bounty hunters, hunting for bugs in return for a bounty. And no matter what hacker you take, black hat, grey hat, or white hat hackers, they're professionals who perform hacking in a certain manner. And that procedure is called as cyber kill chain. Excuse me. Have a bit of a cold today. So again, in our organization or in any organization for that matter, if you are a professional cyber professional, again, a professional penetration tester or an ethical hacker, this is the same exact procedure that you follow and the same procedure that is explained by EC Council's CEH course. Cyber kill chain is basically the procedure that hackers follow to perform a successful cyber attack. So, when the steps are followed exactly in the same order, the probability of the attack happening is much higher. Okay. And the same procedure also allows cybersecurity professionals to understand how these attacks are being performed, to detect them at the earliest time possible, and prevent them at every level in the organization. Okay. So the procedure to attack or defend the systems is very similar, because unless and until you know what all possible attacks could be happening, you would not know how to protect the organization from. So you basically simulate the entire procedure of hackers itself to replicate the same procedures and check out what loopholes exist in your organization. Okay. And these cyber kill chain procedures have 5 steps in them. First, there's information gathering. Then there's scanning. Third, there's gaining access. Fourth, there's maintaining access. And lastly, there's reporting or clearing traces. Okay. So if you notice, only in the last step, there are two different terminologies: reporting or clearing traces, because that is where it makes all the difference between a hacker and a cyber professional. Okay. Now, let me explain each of these steps one by one so that you have a better idea about the entire course curriculum. Any questions or doubts up to this point, guys? Anyone? Imran or Pankaj?
So far, good, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. Pankaj, any questions on your end? Okay, okay, perfect. So now when we talk about the first phase with information gathering, now this is also commonly known as a reconnaissance or footprinting, different names given to the same objective. And the main objective here is to gather as much information or as much data as possible about your target organization. And an important point to note is all of this information is obtained passively. What I mean by passively is you do not contact the organization in any way. You don't let the organization know that you're getting information about them. All of it is obtained discreetly from other third-party websites on the internet. Okay. So again, this is all about you researching what attack vectors or what possible entry points are there to perform the attacks on the organization. Okay. And the more information you find, the more easier it gets for you in the upcoming stages to perform the attack. But the main question that arises here is what kind of information do you need to gather? And this here is the information as follows. So in the upcoming sessions, I'm going to practically explain what each of these pieces of information are and how do you obtain them from various resources on the internet. Believe it or not, for every piece of information, there's a separate website for every, again, and these websites can be used to obtain that information for any organization in the world. Okay. You need to get the IP addresses, whose records, DNS records, domains, subdomains, operating system information, employee details such as contact numbers, email addresses, and usernames and passwords as well, which might have been leaked online in various data breaches. And believe it or not, all of this information is readily available on the internet. The only thing is you need to know what those gold mines are and how do you access those gold mines of information. Okay. Now, once all of that data has been obtained, that data is utilized in the next phase, which is called as scanning, also commonly known as enumeration. So the objective here is now to get some extra information, but by making active and aggressive connections. Earlier, we got the data passively, but here, whatever information we obtain now, we make connections on those and we get some extra information. So whatever devices we know that exist on the organization, whatever email addresses or whatever contact numbers we have gotten of the employees, okay, whatever IP addresses we've obtained, we now perform scanning. We make connections with those and get some extra data. To understand what that data is, we can divide scanning in three parts. There's something called as network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. Excuse me. When we talk about network scanning, this is all about figuring out the internal topology of the organization. So in their internal networks, in their intranets, what devices do they have? What firewalls are they using? What security measures are they using? Are they using any intrusion detection systems or intrusion prevention systems? Again, what servers are they using? What kind of servers do they have? Do they have web servers, FTP servers, DNS servers, SMTP servers? Okay. How many client operating system devices do they have? Okay. How many client desktop workstations do they have? Okay. Again, are there any other networking devices, printers, IP cameras, etc.? So getting to know their internal infrastructure is network scanning. Once you get to know what devices exist in their internal network, then you start performing something called port scanning, figuring out in their internal devices, on those devices, what ports are open and what services or what applications are running on those. And once you know what applications are running or what services they are using, then we finally perform something called vulnerability scanning, figuring out if any of those services or if any of those applications are misconfigured in a way, or if they have any loopholes, or again, if there's any flaw in their source code itself, which can be exploited to perform the remote connections. Okay. So it's a step-by-step procedure. You're finding the devices first. On the devices, you're figuring out what ports are open or what services are running. And then finally, we talk about vulnerability scanning, finding vulnerabilities to attack on those devices. So during this module, we'll be working on two very important tools. One is called Nmap for network scanning, completely open source, been there since a really long time, and still used in a lot of organizations. Okay. And a lot of commercial tools also use Nmap in their source code itself. So we'll be working on Nmap predominantly. And another tool is called Tenable Nessus. This is the same tool which we use in our organization as well. And this is quite expensive. It's not a free tool. It's a commercial application with around $7,000 as a subscription fee for 1 year. So again, we'll be practically learning how to run Nmap, how to use enablenesses, how do you perform vulnerability scans, generate vulnerability reports out of it, and perform pen testing with those reports. Okay. So again, no worry. Luckily, there's a trial version for this. We can learn how to use enablenesses completely with that trial itself. Okay. So don't worry about the tools, guys. We'll be working on the same exact tools which I used in real time, and I'll be giving you access to all the tools required. Okay. Now moving on, after this, we have the next operation, which is gaining access, the phase where the real hacking occurs. So now that you know all the vulnerabilities, you need to now start attacking on those vulnerabilities to get access to the applications or a singular device or the entire network. Okay, so this is the core of the subject. Covers a vast variety of topics here, as you can notice. Let me explain each of those. Just a second. Right. So when we come to the gaining access module, the first topic we have here is system hacking. How do you crack or bypass any Windows or Linux operating system passwords as well? So sometimes when attacks occur, clients or employees can get locked out of their own computers. So we need to know, how do you get access back into your own devices if you're locked out and if you've forgotten your passwords. Okay. How do you crack the password, or if it is too tough to crack, how do you bypass it and still get access to your internal data? Then comes malware attacks, malicious software attacks. There's viruses, worms, trojans, the rootkits, whatnot. We'll practically learn what malwares are, how do you create these malwares, how do you defend your system from these malwares, and how do you detect them if they are already installed and discreetly hidden, okay, without your knowledge. Okay. Then comes network penetration testing, what are the commonly known attacks in networks, such as sniffing attack, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service attack, hacking Wi-Fi routers, cracking the password for Wi-Fi routers. All of these are basically network pen testing attacks. Okay? Trying to capture others' data without their knowledge, shutting down remote servers by overloading them with traffic, cracking the Wi-Fi router's passwords, and accessing others' internal networks. All of this is what we learn in network pen testing. Then comes social engineering, where we learn how do hackers create exact replicas of any web page in the world, whether it be a social media page, whether it be a bank
Excuse me, sir.
login page, whether it be your, oh, sorry, was someone asking a question?
Sir, all these concepts are practically you perform.
Yeah. Practically with the same tools as mentioned, which are used in organizations, and the same operating system called Kali Linux. So there's this operating system called Kali or.org. Again, you can access it from the website kali.org. This contains all the tools required to perform these practicals for password cracking, for web application attacks, for Wi-Fi attacks, air crack NG. So we'll be using these same exact tools. I'll show you all this practically. No theory nonsense, Pankaj. I can guarantee you that all the tools we learn will be practically implemented. I'm going to show you those attacks. Okay, right. So again, moving back to this, as mentioned, then the social engineering. How do you generate exact replicas of a web page? And again, try to fool victims into getting their credentials. So as penetration testers, you need to know what are the key factors to look at to distinguish between a genuine page and a fake page. That's what we learn. How do you distinguish and prevent these phishing attacks? Then comes hacking web servers and web applications. How do you attack web servers and find misconfigurations on the backend? Or how do you find vulnerabilities on the web pages on the front end? Vulnerabilities like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, file upload vulnerability. Might seem a bit technical and a bit gibberish right now, but these vulnerabilities allow you to inject malicious queries in databases, get access to the databases, okay, without authentication, or input malicious scripts in a website, okay, and make users access malicious websites by clicking on those links, okay, or get access to others' account with just their cookies, or uploading malicious files to a server and getting complete remote control of that server. So all of these are web application based attacks. Okay. Then come the evading techniques. So if an organization has security measures, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, or intrusion prevention systems, if they are not configured in the correct way, it's very easy to bypass them. So we'll be learning how do you bypass or evade those security measures and what are the proper configurations to be enabled on these security devices. Then comes vulnerability assessment, the main important topic. How do you assess a vulnerability? So whatever vulnerabilities are shown to you in the tool like Nessus. So if I just show you my Nessus portal as well, I have the admin access to this. So if you notice here, This is what an SS report looks like. It tells you what vulnerabilities are existing in certain devices in my network. Okay. So once you know that there's a vulnerability as such, you need to verify that vulnerability. You just can't blindly trust the report. You have to perform manual verification. That manual verification is called as vulnerability assessment by penetration testing, VAPT. Okay. So we'll learn what are the tools that are used to perform VAPT. Most importantly, we'll be working on this tool called Metasploit framework. Where is it? Did he mention it here? Yeah, here it is, Metasploit framework. Okay. So this is a tool which is basically used to perform vulnerability analysis. Okay, how do you again to attack on a vulnerability and verify if it is a true vulnerability or just a false positive. So be working on this tool. Again, this is something that is requested in every job description for a pen tester's job role. Okay. So once you know how to verify vulnerabilities and how to manually attack on those vulnerabilities and get remote connections, then we start writing the reports as well. That's the next phase. Okay. Before that, after vulnerability assessment, we also learn how to attack Android phones or even iPhones for that matter. What are the tools that you can use to install malwares if possible in the latest iOS versions also. Okay. So as mentioned, the main objective here is to understand how to attack every single endpoint. We talk about system security, network security, wireless security, web server security, web application security, firewall security, mobile phone security, every single endpoint that could possibly exist in an organization. We learn how to attack those devices and also defend those devices from the same attacks. Okay. Once this is done, there are last two small modules left out, maintaining access. This is where we learn how to maintain a persistent connection to the target, which means if I've hacked your phone or if I've hacked your computer, even if you reboot your device, I should still stay connected to you. Okay, so that involves some registry modifications and some auto run application installations. Okay, so maintaining access even if the system restarts. Okay, because mostly all connections disconnect after system reboot. So that shouldn't occur with a hacker's connection. So how do hackers maintain persistent connections is what we learn here. And once that has been obtained, hackers have complete control to your system. And now, as ethical hackers, we generate reports for the organization, elaborating what vulnerabilities we found, elaborating how to replicate those vulnerabilities. We provide POCs, proof of concept documents, okay, so that they can verify those vulnerabilities, and we also provide the solutions for it. On the other hand, if you're cyber criminals, you don't provide any such reports. You perform the attack, you steal the data, and you remove the logs of that data. You erase the evidence of your actions. So we learn what are the things to look for. So if a hacker has deleted any events or any logs, where do you check those? That's what we learn in clearing traces concept. Okay, so that here is definitely, we provide the solutions as well, Imran. So again, we will have to provide the solutions. It's a again for whatever endpoint it is, their administrators or their engineers need to fix those. So it's a web application that you find the vulnerability on. It's a developer who needs to fix it. If it's a networking device, the web server. Again, if it's a web server, it's a web server administrator. Depends on who is handling that endpoint. Okay. We only provide the solutions, and they have to implement those solutions themselves. Okay. So our job or our responsibility is to find the loopholes, tell them what loopholes exist, and show them how to prevent those loopholes. And after that, it's their responsibility to remediate that. Okay. So this here is the entire agenda. Again, the entire procedure that we follow as cyber professionals. And before we dive into all these topics, since not everyone might be from a technical background, we have included the prerequisites as well. So today we were supposed to actually start this topic called networking fundamentals. Hmm. This is the first prerequisite where we learn what networking is, what are IP addresses, what are IPv4 addresses, okay? What is the first IP? What is the last IP? What's the range of IP addresses? Okay. What are the categories of IP addresses? Okay. What are classes? What are public IPs, private IPs? And the important networking protocols. What is, again, how do you assign an IP? What is a DHCP server? What is a DNS server? This is all that we were supposed to cover today. But again, we'll be taking this class tomorrow. Okay. Because today we have taken up the demo. Tomorrow we start the actual classes of the course. So we'll learn networking fundamentals. We'll learn Linux commands. We'll learn how to set up the lab environment. So we'll be installing a tool called VMware. And then this VMware workstation will be running a lot of operating systems here, such as the Kali Linux operating system, or the Windows operating systems, or the Linux operating systems, Ubuntu as such. Okay. So we'll have a practical lab set up on your own devices to perform the practicals alongside with me. Okay. So we'll learn all these fundamentals first. We'll set up the lab environment first, and then we dive into the hacking cycle concepts. Okay. The actual EC Council course. Okay. So that is what the agenda is. This is what we'll be learning throughout the course, guys. And once this course is done, I'll also be assisting you in creating your resumes. I'm going to share sample resumes to you from the earlier students who got placed in jobs. You can again add the same content in your resume. You can share that back to me. I'll make the necessary changes. I'll verify it one last time and share it back to you. And once again that is done, you can start applying for jobs wherever I get a requirement for certain job roles. I do keep getting them every single day. I'll post that to all the students, and you have to apply it yourself. Okay, so that's what the course is about. Get me on Instagram. Again, that's the point. So if it's a social media page, what you do is what hackers do as well as perform social engineering pen testing, creating exact replicas of those web pages, sending those login details to users. Okay. And once they enter their credentials there, you get those credentials, Pankaj. Okay. And if you talk about WhatsApp hacking, that is about you hacking the mobile phone itself, not the specific application. You're getting access to the entire phone. And as a part of that, you get access to the WhatsApp messages also. And yeah, we'll be learning how to perform all those techniques in our upcoming sessions. Okay. But again, disclaimer here, we're not doing this to perform any loss. We are just showing you how hackers do it and what you can do to prevent these techniques, okay, happening on your device. Okay. But so that's not the objective to attack others' phones or take access to others' accounts. The objective is learning what is possible in today's world and how do you prevent that in real time. Okay. Is that clear, Pankaj? So yeah, we will be learning that, but with not that
Is
intention.
45 days are enough to learn all these things, sir?
Yeah, actually it's 35 days. So again, trust me, it's more than sufficient. Again, when EC Council takes the advance, again, the fast track batches, they complete this within 2 weeks. So, but they do take longer sessions, 2 or 3 hour sessions. We have only 1 hour session and 35 hours is more than sufficient to complete the course. Is that clear? Any questions or doubts, Pankaj or Imran?
No.
Okay. There's any no questions, then we can exit the session here, guys. Thank you for joining the session today. And as mentioned, please do join the session tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first class of the entire course. Okay, we'll be talking about networking fundamentals tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Have a good day. See you tomorrow at the same time.